On our acceleration test, in just 20 yards, Tyreek hits a top speed over 22 miles per hour. That's the fastest top speed we've ever recorded. So you are one of, if not the fastest players in the league.
The fastest.
You're the fastest.
Over the years, many people, many fans have watched the NFL Combines. But I want to break down something today that the average fan never notices, and we're going to talk about how that relates to Tyreek Hill. When you watch guys run a 40-yard dash at the Combines, have you ever noticed that there's a stopwatch, a timing mechanism at the 10 and 20-yard splits? Yes, they time you at 10 and 20 yards because you'll seldom be running 40 yards in a football game. 10 yards shows your burst and 20 yards shows your acceleration. What sets Tyreek Hill apart isn't his 40-yard dash time. He's fast, but that's not the key. But what really sets Tyreek apart is his acceleration. Allow me to explain all this science. I'm gonna show you the 40-yard dash combine of two defensive backs from the Baltimore Ravens. Let's look at Kyle Hamilton first. Watch his 20-yard time. It's in the neighborhood of 2.79 seconds. And his overall 40 time is 4.59 seconds. Now let's look at Marcus Peters. If you look at his 20-yard time, it's in the neighborhood of 2.71 seconds, and his overall 40 time is 4.57. They're fast. Yes, that's really fast, but not fast enough. When you watch the 40-yard dash at the NFL Combines, does anything strike you? Anything strike you as being odd? What I'm about to tell you explains why most defensive backs in the NFL are no match for Tyreek Hill's acceleration. When Marcus Peters and Kyle Hamilton ran those 40-yard dash times, and when every defensive back runs their 40-yard dash at the NFL Combines, I want you to notice something. None of them have helmets on. None of them have shoulder pads on. They're running on basically a manicured track. They've got track shoes on. Everything at the Combines, everything is perfectly choreographed for you to get your best times. In track mode, that is. But it doesn't mean much in regards to covering a guy like Tyreek Hill under game conditions on a football field. With Tyreek Hill, you have to look at his speed on a football field in terms of acceleration. Oh, and I want to bring your attention to something else. When covering Tyreek Hill, you're not in a down track position running your fastest time. You're standing up, and initially, you're going to be backpedaling. In fact, every single defensive back will be backpedaling initially when they're covering Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. What do you think the 40-yard dash time is for somebody moving backwards at the start of a play? With a helmet on, with shoulder pads, after going through a number of different plays on the field, after making contact with running backs and other receivers, having to tackle them. What do you think they would measure in terms of speed and burst and acceleration in game situations? Suddenly that 40-yard dash time that was recorded at the NFL Combine doesn't mean all that much. Now, imagine being on a football field, in a game, covering Tyreek Hill, where you don't know what's going to happen next. Here's where the nightmare begins. Tyreek Hill has the fastest 20-yard acceleration burst of any football player ever recorded, period. Tyreek hits top-level speed, full speed at 20 yards. At 20 yards, he is hitting 22.3 miles per hour. That equates to 33 feet per second. That means he's covering 10 yards every single second once he's at top speed. And that's while the defensive back is actually going backwards at the start of the play. When the defensive back makes his turn to run with Tyreek, Tyreek is already at full speed. If Tua has time to throw, and if you don't have a safety playing deep, and I mean real deep, you're cooked. You see, I don't believe we saw blown coverage on Sunday. I think we saw blown out coverage on Sunday. Like that guy from the Philadelphia Eagles said, I've never seen speed like that.
What happened on the, I guess you guys probably knew that they were going to maybe go to Tyreek on that first play.
Well,
It's pretty fast, I know.
I never seen somebody that fast in my life. Like that's That's a different type of speed. I gave myself a 5-yard head start, and he still got by me. So kudos to him and his God-given speed.
And of course, if you go into some sort of modified deep safety position, almost like a Tyreek Hill prevent defense, you're going to get eaten up underneath. Down a deep route where Tyreek is covering 10 yards per second, if you don't have a safety over the top way back, you're toast. Sports journals are idiots. I think we've covered that. But I want you to think about something for a second. With 22 miles per hour covering 10 yards per second, Tyreek can't be overthrown. He's going to be underthrown almost every single time. At 10 yards per second, he's going to catch up to basically any ball that's thrown out there, and he's going to be so far down the field, it's always going to look like he's overthrown. There's never, ever been a receiver that covers 10 yards per second. What separates Tyreek from other wide receivers isn't blazing speed, it's alien-like acceleration. Defensive backs are looking at a wide receiver that they can't possibly cover unless they're 10 to 15 yards back at the start of the play. And if they continue to do that, they're going to leave the underneath wide open for Gesicki or Mostert or Cedric Wilson or even Alec Ingold coming across underneath. Undoubtedly, Tyreek Hill is a freak of nature. Just try to get your head around the fact that somebody is running 22.3 miles per hour and is covering 10 yards on a football field every single second after 20 yards. That's simply not defendable. I don't care what any sports journal says, you can't defend that kind of speed. If the offensive line can give Tua Tagovailoa time, and if the Dolphins can generate any kind of a running game, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are going to be wide open all season long. But those are two huge variables that the Dolphins have to work on. The offensive line has to give Tua time, and they've got to block up front to get this running game going. If that happens, defensive backs are not going to be able to sit back 10 to 15 yards in every single play. Just can't happen. So the key that I'm looking at, and I'm sure a lot of people have looked at as well, as the offensive line. You got to block for the run, and you got to give Tua time. Do those two things, and Tyreek and Jalen are going to be wide open all year long. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, there's going to be 2 more of my videos here on the Miami Dolphins. Feel free to check one of them out. Fins up.
You are one of, if not the fastest players in the league.
The fastest.
You're the fastest. Do you think anybody could catch you?
No chance.
No chance. No matter how many people we threw your way,
No chance.
people can't catch you.
No chance.